What if I told you that the real reason Las Vegas is bleeding tourists has nothing to do with bad luck at the tables? It's not the heat, it's not the crime, it's not even the watered-down drinks. It's the fees. But we're not talking about the obvious ones everyone complains about. We're talking about the hidden charges, the sneaky line items, the fees so buried in fine print that you don't discover them until it's too late to do anything about it. These are the fees Vegas doesn't want you to know exist, because once you see them, once you understand how deep the extraction goes, you'll never look at the Strip the same way again. Today, we're exposing 10 hidden fees that are quietly turning Las Vegas from the entertainment capital of the world into the biggest con game in America. And by the end, you'll understand exactly why even the most loyal Vegas fans are saying enough is enough. Number 10. The early check-in fee. Paying to use what you already paid for. Picture this. You fly into Vegas early, maybe a 9 a.m. arrival. You're pumped. You want to drop your bags, change clothes, and hit the Strip. But when you walk up to the front desk and ask if your room is ready, the clerk smiles and says, "We can get you in early for a small fee." How much? Anywhere from $25 to $75, depending on the property and how early you want access. Wait, hold on. You already booked the room. You already paid for the night. But now you're being charged extra just to access it a few hours early. That's right. And here's the kicker. Half the time, your room is already clean and ready. The hotel just won't give you the key unless you pay the ransom. This fee didn't even exist a decade ago. Check-in was always 3 p.m., sure, but if your room happened to be ready, most hotels would let you in as a courtesy. It was good service. It built goodwill. But in 2025, every moment, every convenience has been monetized. The goal isn't hospitality anymore. It's extraction. And don't think this is limited to budget properties. This is happening at the Bellagio, at the Cosmopolitan, at Caesar's Palace. Luxury resorts charging $400 a night are still hitting you with early check-in fees because they can. Because tourists, exhausted from travel, will pay just about anything to avoid sitting in a lobby for 6 hours. The real insult? Some properties implement tiered early check-in pricing. Want to get in at noon? That's $25. Want to get in at 10 a.m.? That's $50. Want to guarantee early access? That's $75. And it's still not actually guaranteed. If a high roller needs your room type, you're bumped regardless of what you paid. The fee system has become so convoluted that front desk staff sometimes can't even explain it clearly. And here's what really stings. Hotels have sophisticated inventory management systems. They know exactly which rooms are clean and available at any given moment. But instead of using that technology to improve customer service, they use it to maximize fee extraction. Every early arrival is an opportunity to charge extra. Every frustrated tourist is another $50 in revenue. The psychological damage is immediate. Before you've even unpacked your suitcase, you feel scammed. And that resentment colors everything that comes after. Every transaction, every interaction, every expense feels like another trap. That's not how you create loyal customers. That's how you train people to never come back. Number 9. The late checkout fee, charging you to leave slower. If early check-in fees feel like a shakedown, late checkout fees are the mirror image insult. Standard checkout is usually 11 a.m. or noon. But what if your flight doesn't leave until 6 p.m.? What if you want to enjoy one last pool session, one final walk down the Strip? Too bad. Unless you're willing to pay. Late checkout fees run anywhere from $50 to $150. Depending on how late you want to stay. And just like with early check-in, it doesn't matter if your room is already booked for that night or sitting empty. The hotel is charging you for time, not space. It's a tax on convenience, plain and simple. Here's what makes it especially infuriating. These fees are almost never mentioned when you book. You find out about them when you call the front desk the night before checkout, hoping to extend by a few hours. The clerk cheerfully informs you of the charge. And by then, what are you going to do? Check out at 11 a.m. and wander the casino with your luggage? Most people just pay. And the worst part? Even if you do pay for late checkout, there's no guarantee the hotel will honor it. If the property gets busy, if a high roller needs your room, they'll call and ask you to leave anyway. You paid for nothing. But good luck getting a refund. These fees represent everything wrong with modern Vegas. They're not about providing value. They're about creating artificial scarcity and then charging you to escape it. It's hostage economics dressed up in luxury branding, and tourists are finally waking up to the con. Number 8. The minibar sensor fee. When picking up a soda costs you $20. This one is almost too absurd to believe, but it's real. Walk into certain strip hotels, and the minibar isn't just stocked with overpriced snacks. It's equipped with weight sensors. That means if you so much as lift a can of Coke to see the price, the system registers it as a purchase. And boom, $20 on your bill. You didn't drink it. You didn't open it. You literally just picked it up. But the hotel's automated system assumes intent equals consumption, and the charge hits your account instantly. Most people don't even notice until checkout when they're reviewing a confusing itemized bill at the front desk, already running late for their flight. And here's the truly predatory part. Even if you catch the mistake and complain, getting it removed is a battle. Front desk staff will ask you to prove you didn't consume the item. They'll claim the sensors are highly accurate. They'll make you feel like a liar over a $15 can of Pringles. Many tourists, embarrassed or in a hurry, just pay and leave. Some hotels have taken this even further. The sensors are so sensitive that even rearranging items can trigger charges. One tourist reported being billed for 6 items simply because they moved things around to make space for their own snacks. Another guest was charged for a chocolate bar that had clearly been sitting in the minibar since before their arrival. The wrapper dusty and faded. The technology exists to make these sensors more accurate, to require actual removal from the room before charging, or to send real-time notifications so guests can dispute charges immediately. But hotels don't implement those features. Why? Because the current system makes more money. It's designed to create false positives, to charge first and ask questions never. This isn't hospitality, it's entrapment. Vegas used to be about giving you just enough rope to gamble yourself into debt. Now it's about charging you for things you didn't even want. The minibar sensor fee is a perfect encapsulation of how far the city has fallen. It's not even trying to pretend it cares about your experience anymore. Number 7. The in-room safe fee. Paying extra for basic security. Here's a fee most tourists never see coming. You check into your room, and there's a safe in the closet. Great, you think. I'll store my cash, my jewelry, maybe my laptop. Then you try to use it, and a message pops up. In-room safe access. $5 per day. Wait, what? You're staying in a $300 a night hotel, and they're charging you extra to lock up your valuables? That's right. And it's not just budget chains doing this. High-end strip properties are quietly adding safe fees to their list of daily charges, banking on the fact that most guests won't even notice until they check out. The fee is small enough to fly under the radar, usually $3 to $7 per day, but it's the principle that stings. Security should be a baseline expectation, not an upsell. Imagine checking into a hotel and being told the door lock costs extra. That's essentially what's happening here. And here's the cruel irony. If you don't use the safe and your belongings get stolen, the hotel disclaims all responsibility. They'll point to the safe you didn't rent and say, well, you should have paid for security. It's a perfect catch-22. Pay us to protect your stuff, or accept the risk when it disappears. This fee exists purely because casinos know tourists are carrying cash, and they know those tourists feel vulnerable in an unfamiliar city. It's exploiting anxiety for profit, and every time a guest discovers they've been charged for something that used to be free, it chips away at the trust that once made Vegas special. Number 6. The fridge and microwave fee, charging for appliances that don't exist. This one will blow your mind. Some Las Vegas hotels, particularly off-strip and mid-tier properties, charge you a daily fee for the privilege of having a mini fridge or microwave in your room. The fee ranges from $10 to $25 per day. But here's the catch. Half the time, the appliances aren't even in the room when you check in. That's right, you're being charged for amenities that don't exist. And when you call the front desk to complain, they'll tell you that the fee covers availability, not actual delivery. If you want the fridge brought up, that's a separate request, and it may or may not happen depending on how busy housekeeping is. For families traveling with kids, this is especially painful. Parents often book rooms with fridges so they can store snacks, milk, or leftovers, trying to save money by not eating every meal at overpriced restaurants. But instead of saving money, they end up paying daily fees for appliances they never receive. And even when the fridge does show up, it's often tiny, loud, and barely functional. You're paying $15 a day for something that probably cost the hotel $50 to buy a decade ago. It's pure profit, disguised as convenience. This fee highlights the broader problem. Vegas used to compete on value. Now it competes on how many charges it can hide in the fine print. Families who once made Vegas an annual tradition are choosing beach resorts, cruises, or theme parks, where they don't have to lawyer up just to understand their hotel bill. Number 5. The pool and gym access fee. Because resort fees weren't enough. You'd think that paying a $45 nightly resort fee would cover access to the pool and gym, right? Wrong. At some properties, especially during peak season, access to the pool requires an additional fee, ranging from $20 to $50 per person per day. And if you want a cabana or daybed by the pool, that's $150 to $400, plus mandatory food and beverage minimums. Let's break down the insanity here. You're paying for the room. You're paying a resort fee that supposedly covers amenities. And now you're paying again just to use the pool that's part of the resort you're already staying at. It's triple dipping at its finest. For tourists visiting Vegas in the summer, when temperatures regularly hit 110 degrees, the pool isn't a luxury, it's survival. But casinos have figured out they can turn that desperation into profit. They cap pool capacity, claim it's for safety and comfort, and then charge you for guaranteed entry. The gym fees are equally absurd. Some hotels charge $25 per day for gym access, even though the resort fee is supposed to cover it. When you ask why, the front desk will explain that the resort fee covers the existence of the gym, but using it requires a separate fitness center pass. It's linguistic gymnastics designed to confuse and extract. And here's the kicker. These fees are almost never disclosed at booking. You find out when? You show up in your swimsuit, ready to cool off, and security tells you there's a cover charge. By then, you're already committed. You've already paid for the trip, so you either pay the fee or go back to your room and stew in resentment. Number 4. The Wi-Fi upgrade fee. Paying more for internet that barely works. Resort fees are supposed to cover Wi-Fi. At least that's what the fine print claims. But here's the dirty secret. The Wi-Fi included in your resort fee is intentionally throttled to be almost unusable. If you want internet fast enough to stream a video or hop on a work call, you'll need to pay for the premium Wi-Fi upgrade. That costs an additional $15 to $30 per day. Think about that. You're already paying a $50 resort fee that lists Wi-Fi as an included amenity, but the Wi-Fi you get is so slow, it's essentially worthless. To get functional internet, you have to pay again. It's a bait and switch. Plain and simple. This is especially painful for business. Travelers who come to Vegas for conventions, they're paying $300 a night for a room, plus resort fees, plus parking, and now they need to add another $25 a day just to check email without the connection timing out. Meanwhile, a Motel 6 off the strip offers free, fast Wi-Fi, with no games, no upsells, no nonsense. And even when you do pay for premium Wi-Fi, it's often unreliable. Connections drop. Speeds slow during peak hours. Customer service is non-existent. You're paying premium prices for mediocre service, and there's no recourse because you already agreed to the terms when you checked in. This fee is particularly insidious because it targets a basic modern necessity. In 2025, internet access isn't a luxury, it's essential. Vegas knows this, and instead of providing quality Wi-Fi as a baseline courtesy, they've turned it into another profit center. It's the digital equivalent of charging you for air conditioning. Number 3. The print your own ticket fee, charging you to use your own printer. Remember when buying tickets online was supposed to make things easier? In Vegas, it's become another extraction point. When you purchase show tickets, concert tickets, or event passes online, You're often given the option to print them at home. Sounds convenient, right? Except many vendors now charge you a $5 to $10 print-at-home fee. You're using your own printer, your own paper, your own ink, but you're being charged for the privilege. The logic is baffling until you realize it's not about logic. It's about finding any excuse to add another line item to your bill. And it gets worse. If you don't want to print at home, you can pick up your tickets at will call, but that's a separate $7 to $12 service charge. Or you can have them mailed to you. That's another $15 shipping fee. Every option costs extra. There's no free choice. The entire system is designed to make you pay no matter what you pick. For families buying tickets to multiple shows, these fees add up fast. A $200 ticket order can balloon to $250 just from print fees, service charges, and convenience fees. And none of that money goes to the performers or the venues. It goes straight into the pockets of Ticketmaster, StubHub, or whatever third-party vendor the casino contracted. Tourists feel the sting because they're already budgeting carefully. When you think you're spending $400 on entertainment, but the final bill is $525, that $125 difference isn't trivial. That's a nice dinner. That's a few hours of gambling. That's money tourists would have happily spent in Vegas, but instead, it got siphoned off by predatory ticketing fees. Number 2, the credit card foreign transaction fee, a hidden tax on international tourists. This one is particularly cruel because it targets Vegas's most valuable visitors, international tourists. When travelers from Europe, Asia, or South America use their credit cards in Las Vegas, many don't. Realize they're being hit with foreign transaction fees on every single purchase. These fees, typically 2% to 3% of the total, are charged by the credit card companies. But Vegas businesses do nothing to warn customers or offer alternatives. Here's why it matters. International tourists used to make up a huge chunk of Vegas revenue. Before the pandemic, visitors from China, Japan, the UK, and Australia would drop serious money on the Strip. But now, between strict visa policies, expensive flights, and these hidden credit card fees, many are choosing other destinations. Imagine you're a tourist from London. You spend $5,000 during your Vegas trip. At a 3% foreign transaction fee, that's an extra $150 just for using your credit card. You didn't get anything for that $150. It's pure loss. And because the fee shows up on your bank statement weeks later, you don't even realize you're being charged until you're already home. Some casinos and hotels could offer dynamic currency conversion or fee-free payment options to help international guests, but they don't. Why? Because there's no incentive. The fees don't hurt the casinos. They hurt the tourists. And in the short-term profit-driven mindset that dominates modern Vegas, someone else's pain is irrelevant. The long-term consequences are already showing. International visitation to Las Vegas has collapsed by more than 60% compared to 2019. Those tourists aren't gone. They're in Dubai, Singapore, Macau, cities that actually want their business and treat them with respect. Vegas is losing billions by being too greedy to care. Number 1, the dynamic pricing scam, the fee that changes after you book. And here we are. The number 1 hidden fee that's driving tourists away from Las Vegas faster than anything else. Dynamic pricing. This is the practice of changing prices on rooms, shows, and restaurants based on demand, and doing it in ways that screw over customers who already thought they locked in a deal. Here's how it works. You book a hotel room 3 months in advance for $150 a night. Great deal, you think. But 2 weeks before your trip, you get an email. Due to high demand, your rate has been adjusted to $225 per night. The hotel claims they have the right to change prices based on occupancy, and buried somewhere in the terms and conditions you never read, there's a clause that says they can. Or maybe you book a dinner reservation at a fancy steakhouse. The menu says the ribeye is $65, but when you sit down and the server hands you the menu, that same steak is now $95. Why? Dynamic pricing. The restaurant adjusts prices based on how busy they are. Busier night means higher prices, and you can't do anything about it because you're already seated. This happens with show tickets too. You buy tickets online for $120 each, but when you arrive at the box office to pick them up, you're told there's a venue adjustment fee of $30 per ticket because demand exceeded projections. You're standing there, already committed to the show, with no choice but to pay. Dynamic pricing is the ultimate betrayal because it weaponizes your own planning against you. You thought you were being smart by booking early, but instead, you gave the casino a heads up that you're locked in, and once you're locked in, they can charge whatever they want because they know you're not backing out. The worst stories come from families who saved all year for a Vegas vacation. They booked rooms, shows, and restaurants months in advance, budgeting carefully to make it work. Then, 2 weeks before departure, the price adjustments start rolling in. The hotel room goes up $75 a night. The show tickets jump $40 each. The dinner reservation now has a peak demand surcharge. Suddenly, a trip they could barely afford becomes completely out of reach, but they've already requested time off work. The kids are excited. The flights are non-refundable, so they pay, going into debt for a vacation that was supposed to be a celebration. Casino executives defend dynamic pricing by pointing to airlines and hotels worldwide that use similar models. But they conveniently ignore a crucial difference. When airline prices drop after you book, you can usually cancel and rebook at the lower rate. Vegas casinos rarely offer that flexibility. You're locked in at whatever price they decide to charge, with no recourse, no refund, and no apology. The data backs up how destructive this is. According to consumer advocacy groups, dynamic pricing complaints related to Las Vegas hotels and entertainment have tripled since 2022. Tourists feel ambushed. They feel lied to. And once that trust is broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. What makes dynamic pricing especially infuriating is that it's completely one-sided. If demand drops and prices fall, you don't get a refund. But if demand spikes, you pay more. The casino wins either way. You lose either way. That's not a fair transaction. That's a con. And it's not just hurting tourists. It's destabilizing the entire Vegas economy. When visitors can't trust that the price they see is the price they'll pay, they stop booking. They wait. They hesitate. Or they choose destinations where a deal is actually a deal. Las Vegas is learning the hard way that you can't build a city on broken promises. So there you have it. 10 hidden fees that most tourists don't even know exist until it's too late. Early check-in fees, late checkout fees, minibar sensor charges, in-room safe fees, fridge and microwave fees, pool and gym access fees, Wi-Fi upgrade fees, print-your-own ticket fees, foreign transaction fees, and dynamic pricing scams. Every single one of these fees is designed to extract money from you without delivering value. They're not about improving your experience. They're about squeezing every last dollar out of your wallet before you realize what's happening. And the consequences are showing up everywhere. Hotel occupancy is down. Visitor satisfaction has collapsed. International tourists have vanished. Locals avoid the Strip entirely. Even the casinos are starting to feel the pain as gaming revenues stagnate and repeat visitors disappear. Las Vegas built its empire on a simple promise. Come here, lose your money, but have the time of your life doing it. That was the deal. You knew the house always won, but you felt like you got something in return. Magic, excitement, a story to tell. But these hidden fees have shattered that illusion. Now, tourists don't feel like they're losing fair and square. They feel robbed. And here's the brutal truth. Until Vegas stops treating visitors like ATMs and starts treating them like guests again, the decline will continue. The fees will keep piling up. The tourists will keep walking away. And one day, the Strip will wake up and realize that the neon lights are still glowing, but nobody's there to see them. If you've been hit by any of these hidden fees, drop your story in the comments. Let's expose this together. And if this opened your eyes, smash that subscribe button because we're just getting started uncovering the truth about Las Vegas.